Hello everyone and welcome to the third turn, or September the 7th. Let's get in there. It's a clear weather turn. German losses are up to 8%, which is quite alarming. Given that the Polish have had a few advantages, like the Soviets behaving themselves and the British showing up, we've reached a gentleman's agreement with the German players that casualties should be set to 17%. So right, we can expect a bit more of a bloody match. Okay, first things first, let's go and look at the history. Let's see what BBJoey did. Fairly predictable, fortified the line a bit. He's got an armoured train running about. And good, he appears to be running away near the breach over the Warta, which is nice. Lost a few aircraft, but Polish aircraft were never going to achieve much. I do wish he'd got a little bit more clearance from them there, and ouch. Okay, let's see what they're doing. They're really hammering those guys that got left behind there. And my poor cavalry, who held out despite being attacked by a bunch of panzers. Well done, cavalry. Ouch, yeah, those guys eliminated. Not surprising, they got beaten up and then couldn't retreat far enough. A bit more concerning over here, how quickly they are moving. Actually, I'm quite surprised by that. Let's see what's happened here. Wow, the Germans really screwed that one up. Looks like a general advance. They're not really pushing it here, which is interesting. I kind of expected them to. And they seem quite cautious around the British, and maybe they're going to try and flank us. Okay, what are we doing here? Oh, that's interesting. They pulled back, seeing the numbers we had. I'm glad that we've taught them to be careful, but at the same time, it does deprive us of opportunities. Okay, I'm going to bet that they try and break through here and cut the city off. Perhaps not. It's on to the next turn. Wow, they're really not moving. I expected a much more rapid advance from the Germans. Ooh, it's getting a bit worrisome that we haven't managed to blow up those bridges yet. And here's the bloody parts of the turn, I'm sure. This is the German 10th Army, which is, I forgot which player it is, but they are aggressive, and despite taking heavy losses, are very keen to keep up the strong push on Warsaw. Yep, looks like they've rebuilt some bridges, so they've got full supply and everything. We're not actually delaying them that much with all the bridge explosions, but it's better than nothing. It does make them spend action points to actually cross the river. Oh dear, they're really pushing them. At least we managed to hold them off a bit. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have to pull some more reserves back, because looking at this, BBJoey's front is collapsing. Despite inflicting casualties on the Germans, it's not enough. Yep, looks like they've definitely beat up those poor cavalry. Polish cavalry just do not have the manpower to really hold up German units. They're not really effective as anything more than skirmishers. There's a few failed attacks though. This is good. Ouch. Not so much over here. Wow, that's quite a lot of artillery hitting them there. Completely erased that unit despite having a retreat path. Ouch, they got the engineers as well. Well, that's interesting. Thankfully we managed to hold a tiny little 1 hex supply path in here, although I expect that will be closed next turn. Overall, it looks like this armored thrust through the mountains is finally breaking out of the mountains, but now it's just got heavy and light forest, so it's not really that much of an improvement for them. Further north, a bit of a worrying fact that we haven't really got anyone to defend here, but then again they're a long way from anything particularly important. Up here the German 10th Army is just smashing through us. Not especially me, but BBJoey, yeah, wow, ouch. These units are battered. It is not a good time. I'm clearly going to have to peel some troops off the river line and go to help, but yeah, it's not looking great. And then we don't really have much in the way of reserves. Alright, I think I'm going to have to pull 2+ divisions off this line and move them down here. And then stretch this river line somewhat. It's going to be tricky to get right, unfortunately. Damn. Okay, other places we've got things aren't going as badly as they could up here. I'm a little bit worried that I don't really have anyone to cover this line, but they're over the river here anyway, so nothing to be done. Right. Not much here, so we can maintain this skirmish line. Hopefully we can hold in those cities here. And further over we've got some isolated troops. This is the part of the 10th Panzer, which is the ones we put the hurt on last turn. I don't see the rest of them, so they've clearly pulled back to lick their wounds. Okay, right, I'm going to go through and do the movements for the reserves, and I'll see you shortly. Okay, so the moves for the reserves are complete. We've basically dissolved this line across here, strategic moved some down here, and the rest of them just going to shuffle down the line a bit. The bridges are all successfully exploded, which is nice, and we're trying to reform in here to assist BBJoey holding this section, but yeah, I imagine it's going to be quite difficult. I think this is our best bet of a line. We kind of have this quite urban area, which is good defensively, and then if we stack up enough troops, maybe we can hold the Germans at this narrow gap, but if we can't do that, they're going straight to Warsaw, so I'm going to, if things don't improve next turn, I'm going to start pulling back all of these guys to basically make a fortress around Warsaw and really make the Germans work for it. I also got a good chunk of the Polish Air Force killed by getting into fights with Messerschmitts, so that wasn't great. Whoops, as they say. Okay, on to the next turn. Same as last turn. Okay, what do we got? Pretty much the same. Skirmish lines and a couple of points of resistance. And the main one up here, they haven't really pushed this yet, which is good, because I think it's a bit weaker than they really anticipate, despite having a decent amount of artillery kicking about. Okay, I'm going to go do all the movements and turn stuff now, and we'll be back to you at the end. Okay, so the moves are done. Nothing particularly exciting up here in the north. We pulled back to the city here, made some space on this line, but yeah, it's still going to be tricky. Basically just kept the skirmish line intact, and over here we've pulled back across the river and shuffled everything really valuable, like the artillery, out of Bromberg, or yeah, Bromberg. I slightly screwed up and didn't move this artillery back before attacking with it, so it may get chewed up in the German turn. We don't really know. Put some hurt on the 32nd Infantry, at least one of the regiments, and just generally formed up what I can of a line here. It's a bit thin. And better news, German reserve unit was here, and between the artillery and the 17th Infantry we completely destroyed them, which is good. It's always nice when they lose entire units. Over here we've just fallen back a little bit, doing what we can really. This bridge is very stubborn. Despite a regiment and an engineer both trying to blow it up, it still lives, which is just a bit unfortunate, but what can you do? Other than that, nothing really new. As you can see, oh, I actually completely forgot to move the British this turn, but that's okay. They're in fine shape. I just bit of a waste of artillery. Whoops. Oh well. Down south, nothing really different. So overall, main danger still coming up the middle here. Hopefully we can get some defenses in place. Alright, thanks a lot guys. Click the subscribe button to see the rest of the updates, and I'll catch you next turn.